Hi there. Hey, we are going to make the mound for the base of our Alejibres. I've been saying it wrong all this time. I finally got corrected. So just the mound is going to help us provide some support and also allow us to kind of tell the story of our Alejibres a little bit better. By adding some elements and carvings to the mound, it'll help to kind of tell the whole story. You'll see how it gets there. So first, I'm going to not talk while I wrinkle the bag because it gets loud. Uncover your bag, and you just have to tear off some clay. Go right there and tear off a little bit more. And again, lately we've been, and again, as soon as you take off some clay, wrap your clay back up. Don't let it dry out at all. You want to have your board, or if it's a book or something like that, put it inside of a plastic bag, but you want something firm to hold on to. This clay is a little bigger than a tennis ball. Okay, that's our kind of our standard size to measure to. So it's a little bigger than that. I have my water. I'll just keep it right there so you can see me how often I kind of go into my water. And again, this clay needs to be worked. And I'm really smashing it hard, rotating it. Okay, if I take it apart and I really push it hard, and we're going, this is big enough clay to wedge. So again, I'll do this pretty quickly, but we've talked about wedging. And again, you have to push down and roll it back up. Push down, roll it up, push down, roll it up. And you get to this rhythm. And what happens a lot of times is you kind of get a sense that it's rotating right here, and you get right there, you get this little like a little tongue sticking out to you or at you. That's a good thing too. Now I'm going to rotate it so it mixes up in several directions. And it even helps sometimes to stand up, so you can just use your body weight to push down on it. So you're just going to push down and slightly forward, then rotate it. And again, keep your hands around the outside. Okay, if you do that, you're just going to flatten it out and it'll look like a burrito really soon. And you want to really get a good sense, again, a little water, just a little, not shiny and slippery. You want to get a good sense that the clay has really mixed in together well. All right, then we can, again, slap it into a ball. Almost everything starts with a ball. Okay, and the ball does not have to be perfect. If there's any little cracks and lines, wipe them away. Really push the clay over that. And inspect that. All right. Now, as you do this, if you work on a surface, the clay is going to want to stick to it. So watch how often I kind of rework the clay or flip it over. So we're going to make just a mound. If you think like on a baseball diamond, the pitcher's mound is just a kind of a gentle, sloping kind of hill. So I'm just going to start flattening it out, like kind of like a thick pancake. So the thickness of this, the whole thickness of this, can be about the thickness of your hand. Okay, or this, this edge of your hand right out here. It should not be skinny like your pinky. That's getting a little too thin to have some support. It will get a little thinner toward the outside, and you'll see that happen in a moment. But right now we have like a big hockey puck, right? The thickness here, I'm going to make a little bit thinner. And again, it's just a matter of using a flat hand. If you want to, you can put it down. I'm going to make a lot of noise. Just pat it a little bit, then flip it over and do it again. A little bit, because if you keep doing that, this clay will stick to the table quite a bit. All right, now that's almost big enough, but we want to make this look like, not like a pancake, but more like a mound. So we're just going to now kind of work on the rim. I'm just going to Now I'm not only pushing down, as I do that I'm kind of pushing, slapping it at a slight angle. So it kind of stretches the clay out a little bit. Or with my fist, see, I'm only working kind of the rim. Again, when I start to get there, I can be a little more gentle with my fingertips. Now, if by chance, see, that's hard to pick up. If by chance this area, and I'll do it right here. I'll do it on purpose. This is what you should not do. See where it got really, really thin right there? That's going to break. Okay, so if that happens to you, you want to get your paper clip or a toothpick, anything kind of small like that, and just kind of trim that off. So the thickness here, it could be as thick as your little finger, once again. Okay, maybe just a tiny bit thinner, but if you let it get really thin out at the edge, like out here somewhere, that's going to dry really fast and kind of chip and break off. And you want to control it. Now, this looks like I just went through it with a blade or a paper clip. So a little bit of water. And just kind of firmly rub that. Now, this does not have to be a perfect circle. I think I'm going to make mine a little more oval shaped. So I'm going to take off a little bit over here. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just if you like kind of that oval shape a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm going to go for on mine. And again, now this is good clay. Right away, I'd get some water and kind of, this is like a little one-handed wedging. See, I'm kind of twisting it in my hand and giving it a really good squeeze. And before you do anything else, don't let it sit around. Get that back into your clay so you can use it again. Because you have kind of that limited amount of clay here, especially being at home. All right, now, see, that gets tough. Now I'm going to just try to, there's little lumpities and bumpities, right? So now I'm going to use my scrap paper. Just a little bit of junk paper, junk mail that you get at home. And I'm going to just put it on there. If you put it right on the wood or right on the plastic, if you had plastic there, it sticks to that. All right, now I'm just going to use a little bit of fingertip water and just kind of smooth that out. Any little lumps and bumps in multiple directions, and turn this. You should not get this all shiny and drippy with water. And we can do a little bit of trimming later also when this gets a little bit firmer. But at this stage, it's nearly like you never want to pick this up again. Because if this goes through any stress, if it bends on you, a little crack is going to happen, and you may not see that crack until after it gets fired. And that's really frustrating. So as you're working on this, now you just want to rotate it and lift it with the board. Don't lift it by the clay. Now again, the thickness here might be about as thick as maybe my knuckle area. Okay, right here. If it gets to be real thick and real high, that's not good because we don't want to fire that clay. The inside of the clay doesn't really dry out. Okay, so this thickness of clay, about the thickness of where my knuckles are, right about in there somewhere, is good. Okay, if I had to estimate, it would be about ½ an inch or so. Or it might be, where's my cell phone? I always like to do that. It's definitely a little thicker than my cell phone here. But it might be about as thick as my cell phone out at the rim. Okay, it can get a little bit thinner here. But here, it's thicker, a little bit thicker than my cell phone. Okay? If it gets too thin, it will break easy. Okay, so it's kind of that sweet spot as far as how how thick it is. And really, that's all you should do at first. So I'm just trying to smooth it out a little bit. You want to let this firm up overnight. Just firm up a little tiny bit. So when you do that, there's two things you can do, or two ways to do this. You can just take a plastic bag and just lay it over the top, but make sure you kind of tuck underneath and have that good spot, that protected spot, to let this be, so no cats and dogs and brothers and sisters and whoever wreck this. You have to keep it perfectly still overnight. Or, if you choose to, you can put it inside of a bag, inside the bag, and again, just wrap the bag underneath. Do not put it into a bag and tie a knot. Then you just have to untie it. Now, this kind of a bag is great. If all you have in your house is that thicker plastic bag you get from grocery stores, that's great too. If all you have are those thin bags where you put your produce in, your apples and oranges, try to use two of those. See, one bag is inside the other. If that will, and whoopsie, that almost slid off. My bag will just make sure both bags go around it. If that fits, again, don't leave it open. Make sure it wraps around under there, and I'll leave it like that because that's perfectly fine. No need to push down on it. You can be a little pillow of air inside there, and it just needs to be like that till the next day. Then it's a matter of cleanup. Remember, when you start to, I like to use that old hotel key or the old piece of plastic, old credit card that doesn't work anymore. Kind of pick up some of that little dusty dust and those little crumbs. Those go in the garbage. Don't blow on them or anything. Make sure to clean up your space really well. Have that, I'm going to take everything off of here. Then I'm going to use a wet rag to wipe up. And there's a little bit of clay on my tool. Make sure that those little crumbs go in the garbage. And then you're ready to go for your next class. And your family won't be mad at you for making a mess and getting clay dust all over the food if you're working in the kitchen. Stuff like that. So next will be blocking in our sculpture. There you go. That's how you make the mound for your Alejibre. Bye-bye.